Peace will fill the world when we finally understand that only from within can it be spread throughout the land. Every single person living peace in what we do, only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true.
Good morning, friends. I'm Leona Evans, minister at Unity of San Luis Obispo, an inclusive, progressive, spiritual community affirming the good in all life. Welcome to our Sunday morning live stream. As always, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm thrilled that you chose to join us this morning. This is going to be the most important hour of your week. And why is that? Because we have an opportunity to affirm with one another that we were created in love, that we are good by nature, and that there is divine potential within us all that we have the opportunity and the responsibility to access and to share. Very, very important time of the week, so let's prepare ourselves to relax and focus on this present moment and all there is to come during this next hour. Let's begin by taking a deep breath and just relaxing. Find a comfortable spot. Let go of any extraneous thoughts or worries that might be clouding your mind. Focus on the here and now, on this present and powerful moment. This is the realm of all possibilities and pure potential. And so let's breathe deeply once again and let us speak the words of our invocation statement together. I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. Once again, I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. Let's begin our service, as always, with a joy song performed by Matthew J. Evans.
Good morning. Today we're going to sing We Are One in the Spirit. Please sing along with the lyrics on the bottom of the screen. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. And we know that our unity will this day be restored. And we know we are family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we are family by our love. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. And together we'll spread the news of peace throughout the land. And we know we are family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we are family by our love. We will talk with each other. We will share how we feel. We will talk with each other. We will share how we feel. And the bonds of our friendship will be open and real. And we know we are family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we are family by our love. Have a great morning, everybody.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was just lovely. Well, For a number of years, I did a weekly 1-hour radio program in San Luis Obispo on news talk radio station KVEC called Positive Living. During that time, I had the wonderful opportunity of interviewing a number of well-known guests who had wonderful stories to tell. Fortunately, we were able to save a number of those broadcasts onto audio cassettes, and now we're able to upload the audio of those cassettes and play them for you as a Get Off Your Affirmation podcast, which we've done a number of times in recent months with archived interviews with Wayne Dyer and Jack Canfield. Well, even though the audio quality isn't flawless because cassettes tend to degrade over time, they're still very listenable, and I feel very fortunate to be able to share them with you. At this time, of course, I would like to give great credit to Matthew, my son and wonderful producer of this broadcast, because he's been able to use extensive audio editing skills to help restore the tapes so that we can play them and easily listen to them. So yesterday, we pulled out a wonderful interview from 1997 with world-renowned expert in the mind-body connection, Dr. Joan Borysenko. And we uploaded the interview to share as a Get Off Your Affirmation podcast. The interview focused on her then latest book called The Ways of the Mystic, 7 Paths to God. The interview is wonderful, and I highly recommend that you listen to it. So today, I want to share with you a few of the main ideas of her book because I believe it's important for all of us to know that the way we approach our spiritual journeys are not the same for everyone. And sometimes we can feel intimidated because certain teachers will tell us that this is the way to God, or that is the only way to God, when the truth is that since God, Spirit, divine energy is everywhere present, all paths lead to enlightenment. But not all paths work equally as well for everyone. So first, let me give you some of Joan Borysenko's impressive background. She earned her doctorate in medical sciences from the Harvard Medical School. She completed a second postdoctoral fellowship in the field of behavioral medicine and her third postdoctoral fellowship in psychoneuroimmunology in the early 1980s. She became licensed as a psychologist and was appointed instructor of medicine at the Harvard Medical School. Well, in 1987, she wrote the New York Times bestseller, Minding the Body, Mending the Mind, and has authored numerous books, including The Power of the Mind to Heal, Fire in the Soul, Guilt is the Teacher, Love is the Lesson, A Woman's Book of Life, It's Not the End of the World, The Ways of the Mystic, 7 Paths to God, which is what we are going to be talking about today and which we talked about on the podcast. Joan is the founding partner of Mind Body Health Sciences, LLC, located in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And she still continues her wonderful work. She does live streams and she does all kinds of online meditations and workshops to integrate the mind-body connection and help us live our best life. Well, getting back to the book, one of the most important lessons we can learn on our spiritual journey is to be our authentic self. In Joan's book, she recounts a story that I'm very familiar with as well. And it's really, really important to point out the importance of honoring and acknowledging our divine individuality. Well, this is a Hasidic story about Rabbi Zuzia, who dies and finds out that his heavenly accommodations are, well, not exactly up to what he really expected. So he makes an appointment with God to find out why what he did during his lifetime apparently wasn't enough. Finally, Rabbi Zuzia gets an appointment, and sitting before God, he explains to him that he had tried to be as wise as Solomon, as steadfast as David, and as brave as Moses. He said, I've taken the best that I have seen of life, and I've devoted myself to emulating these great men. Why wasn't that enough? And God said, Rabbi, you did an admirable job of taking the attributes of the wise ones, but why didn't you try being Zuzia? Why didn't you try being yourself? And so here the poor rabbi spends his life as, well, perhaps many or most of us do, looking outward, seeing admirable attributes and doing our best to emulate them, to even sometimes dress like our heroes, act like our heroes, use the same vocabulary, do everything we can to be what we admire out there. And all the time, the whole time, it was all about being our best, authentic self, which we can't find from the outside. All we can see from the outside, if we're very vigilant, are people doing their best to be their best selves. Who knows how many people out there, because I can certainly relate to having been one of them for long periods of time throughout my life. The saddest thing is to look out there, see what's good, emulate it, and all the time not realize that it's looking in here, finding what's authentic to our own divine nature and allowing it to come forth. Very, very important lesson. And so Rabbi Zuzia represents every individual who feels inadequate, alone, untutored, unprotected. It's risky living life, and wouldn't it be great if we could just take a rubber stamp and set it down and become that which we think is likable and lovable and admirable? The fact is that if we try to do that, we come to see sooner or later that the world is missing our unique divine imprint. Just like our fingerprint, it's unique. And it's special because everybody's unique fingerprint is special. Every divine imprint is God, Spirit, seeing each of us at every level of its being. God thinks of us, and we appear. God is thinking creation every moment of every day, and each of those thoughts is most important and most heaven-worthy. So we'll continue with more of being a mystic, being true to ourselves, and sharing our light with the world, after we hear some beautiful music from Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans.
Here's a song I wrote in 1979 when I was living in Oklahoma City. It's called All Going to Shine. 1, 2, 1, 2. when I'm coming down from an out-of-town place in my dreams. Seems to me to be something so real that I feel I've been a long, long way, making my waking days shine with a strange expectancy from something somewhere deep inside of me, all brought on time from far within the majesty of the inner peace that is mine. Such a fine, oh my, and easy feeling, pleasing to have, not so easy to hold. It's been told for a long, long time that we're all of us, we're going to shine, just a matter of time. All going to shine. Certainly hope so. I believe so, actually. Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you. That's a great tune, Brett. So cool.
Thank you so much, Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans. What a wonderful song. Such an interesting, marvelous melody, and the lyrics are just lovely. All going to shine. This is the truth, and we thank you and bless you for your wonderful talents and your wonderful teamwork. You play together so beautifully. Thank you. Well, we're talking about mysticism, which usually seems to be clouded by incense or mood lighting, or perhaps robes and scarves around us, thinking that there's some way to dress, some way to be. Well, there's nothing wrong with mood lighting, and I love scarves and robes, but that might not necessarily be my particular path or your particular path. If it is, we'll know it right away. We'll feel that we were born to wear those things, or to look at certain objects, or to feel connected with certain routines during the course of our day. There are all kinds of mystics, and Joan Borysenko reminds us in her book that, well, there are at least 7 paths to the mystic, and she talks about different passions that each of us has, and we find such beauty and such wholeness and such oneness in those expressions. But we don't necessarily understand that this is our mystical path. This is what we were born to do. And so she talks about, well, the nature mystic. She talks about the beauty and the heart-swelling experience that can be found in gardening or walking through the beauty of the seashore or the mountains or any other aspect of nature. for many people, it resonates in such a way that they feel wholeness and oneness and beauty in all things. They feel gratitude that they didn't feel before they started their gardening or their walk. And so let's understand that if mysticism is the ability to connect firsthand with the Lord of our being, then for the nature mystic, that is the path that works for them. I have to be honest with you. I love the idea of gardening. I love to have flowers around. I love to be part of nature. I love the wind blowing in my face, but the fact is that for whatever reason, I can't explain it to you, nor can many doctors, but if I'm around those flowers for more than about 5 minutes, my eyelids swell like balloons, I start sneezing, I feel so exhausted. It's kind of like when Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz went through the poppy field and got drugged and fell asleep. So if being a nature mystic was the only path to God, I would be so far away that even the greatest antihistamine wouldn't be able to help me. So how fair would that be? Seriously, how fair would that be? You see, God, or the living spirit of truth, or divine energy, is everywhere present. We are creations of that one spirit, that one divine life, that one energy. And the only thing that's keeping us from being in the presence, enjoying the presence, honoring the presence 24/7 is the fact that along the way, in learning to navigate the five-sense world, we temporarily we didn't lose the connection, but we lost from our memory the combination. And we began to believe that we needed to look out in the world and be the best version of the best person we could find. And that's when it all started to go sour. The best intentions that we have, the best intentions to be the best we can be, are being acted out by most of us in the way that's the opposite of what we really need to do. What we do by mistake is see our goodness out there. We project it onto other people and things. And so we don't get the chance to examine ourselves. We don't feel worthy enough to believe that all the wholeness and the holiness we would ever want is already inside of us. We think that it's out there and that we have to get it in order to be whole. And just saying that is the saddest thing, isn't it? Isn't it really? That is so sad that we walk around like the old parable of the fish swimming and saying, you know, we are going to continue this journey until we find the water. They said it was here. They said it was somewhere, but we can't find it. Another thing that's really sad, it's humorous, it's sad, it's let's just give ourselves a hug for a moment and say, gee, gosh, you know, it's so sad that it's been so hard for us. And so in Unity we say everyone a mystic. Joan Borisenko in her book says everyone is a mystic. We need to make not only that mind-body connection, but we need to understand that one of the basic ideas to discovering the light within us and our own mystical relationship with Spirit is to be our authentic self. To be our authentic self, like Rabbi Zuzia, which we talked about, or who we talked about in the last segment. Well, here's another lesson about how to be a mystic, and it's another story that took place in a monastery, and Joan tells us this in her book. She says, once upon a time, there was a failing monastery. No new postulants had entered for years, and the remaining monks were crabby, always complaining about one another. Well, the abbot was really concerned that the monastery would close, so he prayed to God for guidance. And one day, he got the idea to visit his old friend, the rabbi, and poured out his feelings about the troubled monastery and the despondent monks. The two then sat sipping tea while the rabbi looked at his friend with a very puzzled look. He said, "But don't you realize that one of you is the Messiah?" The abbot's eyes grew large. "What? One of us is the Messiah? We're plain and simple people. How could that possibly be?" "Trust me, dear friend," the rabbi said. "God works in mysterious ways." Well, all the way back to the monastery, the abbot turned over the thought in his mind. One of them, the Messiah? Who on earth could it possibly be? Surely not Brother Paul, the slovenly cook. But wait a minute, why not? Doesn't God delight in nourishing his children? Absolutely. Raymond, that silly joker, always a not brother, acting the fool. But didn't Jesus say that we must become again like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven? What about Brother Michael, the gardener? So silent and taciturn. But maybe he isn't taciturn after all, just caught up in inner communion. Doesn't he commune with the flowers and the animals like St. Francis, the very patron saint of their order? Well, the abbot returned and called all the monks together, and he announced that he had shocking news. One of them was the Messiah. The news jolted everyone, and they began to look at each other in different ways, with a newfound respect. Every word and action was interpreted as a gift from God. Suddenly, an abundance of love poured from the monks through their hearts and eyes, and they nourished everything they looked upon. The gardens grew more beautiful and the food more delicious. People began to show up again for Sunday Mass, and soon young people began to apply for admission to the order. All because the possibility existed that one of them would be the Messiah. So if the first lesson to the path of the mystic is to be ourselves and express our divine fingerprint or footprint, as it were, then the second lesson would be see the presence of God in others. See the presence of good in others. So many of us take circuitous paths to God. Well, first I'll go here, and then I'll climb this, and then I'll do that, and I'll collect this, and I'll pray to that. And all of these things go on and on because they're on the path to God. They're on the path to God. God is the path. God is the path. Meister Eckhart, Christian mystic in the, I believe, 12th century, said, "The eye with which I look at God is the same eye with which God sees me." Remember, a mystic is one who has a direct connection with spirit, also known as the divine wisdom of the ages. This ability is not dependent on education. It's not dependent on one's station in life. It's not dependent on prior accomplishments. It's dependent on our understanding of the nature of God and our own divine nature to be able to allow that connection, which is always there, to become conscious. Going back to the fish, frustrated pair of fish looking for the water and swimming around in it. It's one of the stories we tell to illustrate the prosperity principle. It's everywhere present. Abundant supply is everywhere present. Where? It begins in our minds and hearts. It begins with our connection to abundant good. It begins with our ability to relate profoundly to the spirit of truth within us here and now, directly, without games, without prizes, without having to be wrong, without any guesswork. God is not playing guess where I am on the weekends with any of us. There are so many paths with which we can enjoy and understand and experience our wisdom, our light, our love. Step 3, once we understand the importance of being ourselves and understand the importance of seeing the face of God wherever we look, is to letting the ego slip away. Mystics come in all forms and shapes and practice different styles of worship, some that don't even qualify as quote-unquote worship. In her book, Joan Borisenko discusses how there are those that can meditate hours every day, while others have a passion to follow the laws of their religious paths. There are those whose service to others is literally a worship experience, and others, as I said before, who feel blessed and renewed by planting a garden or walking through nature. When we know who we are, we know where our passions lie and what works for us, what brings us to the place where we feel at home with all the beauty and light of the universe. That is what we mean by mysticism. And I just want to add to this, there is no guarantee that when we have one of those radiant moments with the living spirit of truth, that it's not going to fade away and require us to look at life with our feet on the ground. It doesn't mean that at all. But it does mean that when we have our feet on the ground, we can never forget what we call the kingdom of heaven within us, the realm of divine possibilities and pure potential. Take a deep breath now and relax. It's time for our meditation, inner contemplation, and integration of today's message. We are all mystics. each one of us, made in the image and likeness of the universal omnipresent source of all creation and all life, God the Good. Each of us with our own divine imprint, blessing the universe as we go within our soul and get to know and understand the vision in God mind for our lives. Let us affirm in the quiet, I practice being true to my highest self. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. I lay aside my ego and sense of competition. Instead, I bless all life as I bless my own, and give thanks that we each resonate with the passion and the practices that bring us closer, to our divine unfoldment. We are blessed in every way as we affirm life and continue to affirm, I am a mystic. I am one with Spirit, always united, always living in the light, with God light and love. And so it is. Amen. Friends, it's time now in our service to bless the offerings that we would share with Unity of San Luis Obispo. I want to share with you our website. It's on the screen right now, unityslo.com. When you go to our website, you see on every page not only interesting material, but a donate button. And it shares how you can use our mailing address to share a check if you wish, or to use PayPal, or to use your credit card. We've been having some questions lately about how to donate. It is also on Facebook where it says donate here. But I really would appreciate it if you'd go to our website, because it is fascinating. There is the daily word every single day, and lots of videos and podcasts and all kinds of wonderful inspirational information. So please remember, as you give, so shall you receive. And if you received inspiration today, then please know that as you give, you will be gifted 30, 60, 100 times over. Let's speak the words of our prosperity statement together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive.
Here is a wonderful theme from an old TV show called Wagon Train. And it's actually called Wagons Ho. And the music is from Jerome Ross. He wrote it a year after he did The Big Country, one of my favorite Western movies. Ward Bond was originally the trail master in the wagon train. Here we go. theme from Wagon Train, 1959, Ward Bond, music by Jerome Morris.
I've seen that on MeTV.
What a beautiful, beautiful theme. Thank you so much, Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans. The theme from Wagon Train. I remember watching that years and years and years ago, and well, even now it's on MeTV for those of you who get that cable channel. But I've never heard it as beautifully played as you both just did. Thank you so, so very much. Well, let's sing our peace song, shall we?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now let's speak the words of our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Friends, please remember to press the like button and to share your comments with us. We just love hearing from you and discussing ideas about the service. Thank you so much for being here. Also, please tune in to our latest Get Off Your Affirmation podcast that talks about the mystic within us all. It's the interview with Joan Borisenko that we talked about before, and I'm looking forward to your response to it. God bless you and have a wonderful week. You deserve it.
Every single person living peace in what we do. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will